What if you didn't get tomorrow? What if the chance to say what mattered or live how you hoped was suddenly gone? In today's episode, I'm sharing a deeply personal story, one that started with a hospital visit and ended with a heartbreaking goodbye. It's a reminder that legacy isn't built someday, it's built today. If you're a parent trying to raise your kids with love, intention, and connection, I hope this episode gently challenges and deeply encourages your heart. Welcome to Calm Connection Parenting, where we buckle up for the emotional roller coaster of raising intense and highly sensitive kids and discover some amazing things along the way. I'm your host, Jamie Kirkbride, a mom of 7, parenting coach, professional counselor, and your guide through the wild world of meltdowns, challenging behaviors, and big emotions. If you're exhausted and overwhelmed, feeling like you're always one step away from chaos, searching for a little calm in your day, then you're in the right place. Here, you'll find practical tools and faith-based strategies to transform your family. Together, we'll laugh, we'll learn, and we'll figure out how to turn those messy meltdowns into moments of connection. Let's jump in. Today's episode is a little different. It's a little quieter and a lot more personal. My voice may be softer than usual, and I apologize for that as I'm still battling this hoarse voice issue, but I couldn't stay silent another week. This past month has brought some deep reflection and some powerful reminders that I think some of you may need to hear too. We've had a lot going on lately, and it's been one of those seasons that stretches you emotionally, spiritually, and even physically. So today I'm asking a question I've been sitting with myself. What kind of legacy will you leave? In the middle of our family vacation, far from home, far from family, we received a call that changed everything. My dear brother-in-law, Troy, had taken a turn for the worse. What was supposed to be a quick hospital visitation for hydration after chemo quickly became something much more serious. Eventually, his organs began to struggle, palliative care stepped in, and then within hours, he went home to meet Jesus. It feels wrong. It feels unfair. It feels like everything was out of our hands and maybe even out of control. And yet, we know God was still there and in control. He brought calm to my sister and their grown kids, wives, and grandkids in the most unexpected ways. There was peace, even in their pain. At a service, I sat and listened to the stories. I remembered our high school years together. He and my sister were high school sweethearts, and he and I shared a lot of classes together, including art class, being in theater productions together, speech class, and so many of those fun high school memories. Troy really was the closest thing I ever had to a brother, and a good one, a steady one. And in the ups and downs of my life, he was protective, caring, and just what a girl would ask for in a big brother. A good laugh, someone with perspective, and someone who really listened. He was so special. But more than that, he was someone who lived and loved in ways that left a mark on others' lives. People have shared story after story about the ways that he showed up, with fun, with generosity, with quiet, steady consistency. And it was so neat to hear those stories, like the time he ordered 30 double cheeseburgers for him and his 4 boys during a family cooking competition. And when the lady at the register asked, "No, really, what do you want?" he replied, "Oh yeah, 30 double cheeseburgers and a water." And even how he thought about making the most tasty meals for the youth group, since cooking was honestly like a sport for him, a hobby too. And I remember how he bought my sister such fancy gifts in high school, like Giorgio perfume and a lot of jewelry. I'd try to talk him into spending less money, showing my sister he was good and responsible with money, reminding him to be practical and think about the future. But Troy didn't just say he loved her. He showed it in numerous ways over and over. You could honestly just see it in his eyes, the way he looked at her. Their marriage was admired by many. 33 years of deep, steady, committed love, and still best friends, hand in hand until the very end. Troy pursued so many hobbies. In fact, if you walk in his garage now, you see him everywhere. Arrowhead hunting, fishing, lantern collecting, garage sailing, antiquing, guns, hunting, you name it. He found joy in the simple and special. And even how he decided to save a little money was creative. He told my sister one day that they weren't going to spend any of their $5 bills, but instead they were going to save them for something special. And honestly, I was with my sister when she found that bunch of money, and he'd saved a small fortune, just tucking those little green bills away for something fun. It made me wonder, am I leaving room in my life for fun, for hobbies, for those simple joys, for laughter, for those spontaneous moments that become cherished memories? Because when I think about the legacy that Troy left, it wasn't built on perfection. It wasn't performance-based. It was built on presence, on how he showed up, on how he loved so fully. And that brings me to something I haven't shared yet. On the very same day Troy entered the hospital, I unfortunately collapsed in the middle of the Dollar Tree store. Scary, right? Well, that was in fact the last time I really got to visit with Troy. We laughed that day about both of us being asked on the same day if we wanted to be resuscitated. Not a question you get asked every day, but both of us being asked that same question, and how being asked that question might indicate that it wasn't exactly a great day. But we also communicated our love to each other and that we would be praying for each other. Turns out what I experienced was a TIA, or what they call a mini stroke, and how grateful I am that it didn't end differently or leave damage. I was directed to follow up with a neurologist who cleared me for a vacation and said more tests would follow when I returned. And of course, I was told to take the baby aspirin, try to relax, and reduce stress. So 4 days later, I boarded that cruise, not because I wasn't taking it seriously, but because I was trusting that God had things under control and would watch over everything. And we all thought at this point that, like Troy had done so many other times, he would be in and out of the hospital, get hydrated, and be on his way. But while we were at sea, we got the call that Troy's health was struggling, and eventually the call that Troy had passed away. Honestly, it's hard sometimes to not wonder why. Why was I the one who walked out of the hospital while he didn't? It doesn't feel fair. We were both diagnosed with cancer about a year ago. Why have our journeys unfolded so differently? And yet my sister reminds me of something we have to remember. God knows our days. Truth is, none of this has taken him by surprise. He knew our family would face some heartbreak. He also allowed my sister's family the joy of a new grandbaby 2 weeks before, and my family a joyous wedding just a week after. Pain and joy, heartache and celebration. Life is full of times where we're going to have to juggle these conflicting emotions. And in the end, all of this leaves us with a reminder. You don't know if you'll be the one to leave the hospital with the chance to make a change or the one who won't leave at all. So don't wait. Don't let those important things go unsaid. Don't put off the changes or those important decisions that you need to make. If someone asked you today, do you want to be resuscitated should things go wrong? I hope your answer would be, a definite yes. And more importantly, if someone asked you, are you certain where you'll spend eternity? I hope you can say an emphatic yes to that too. Friend, this podcast usually focuses on parenting, and maybe you're wondering, well, where does that fit in today? But here's the truth. The legacy you leave as a parent matters more than you know. Your child won't remember whether the laundry was always folded. They'll remember whether you laughed with them, had fun with them, whether you sat on the floor and played, whether you showed up with love, even when life felt messy. What legacy are you building as a mom, as a dad, as a caregiver? Is it one of stress, busyness, overwhelm, perfection? Or is it one of presence, joy, and connection? I want to leave a legacy like my brother-in-law, Troy, one full of calm and kindness. In fact, his wife could only think of maybe 2 handfuls of times she had ever seen him upset. I know I hadn't hardly seen it at all. Do you want to leave a legacy of silly moments and maybe those spontaneous cheeseburger orders, or a legacy that reminds people what love feels like? So today, I'm choosing joy. I'm choosing connection, choosing to let go of the rigid and embrace what matters most. And I invite you to do the same. I read something in a book several years ago. I think it was by Lisa TerKeurst, and it summed up the desire of my heart and the goal for my life, the legacy I want to leave. In fact, I have it posted on an index card and right there at my desk where I see it every day. And it ties in so well with this week's thoughts. This is what it says. The mark of a truly godly woman as one who reveals the power of God, not so much in doing, but in being. God's treasure chest of joy has filled her heart so full of love and gratitude that just being around her inspires you. She goes about tasks, duties, and rough patches with such grace that you want to imitate her. She is full of adventure and not worn out from the journey. That's my goal. Troy lived a life that showed others this kind of joy, grace, and love. I will so miss Troy's fun chuckle, his really, no way, and that little laugh as he listened intently to whatever it was that you were sharing with him. And I'm really going to miss the way he always made me feel like he was looking out for me like a protective big brother. He inspired me. He inspired many. I pray that I can continue to grow in this area of my own life, being purposeful and intentional in how I live out that legacy. Friend, if today's episode stirred something deep in your heart, maybe a longing to slow down, to live more intentionally, or to make sure you're building a legacy that truly reflects the love and the joy you want to leave behind, can I encourage you to take the next step? Parenting, especially when raising a uniquely wired or emotionally intense child, can feel overwhelming. You may want to be more intentional and present, but without the right tools and support, it can feel impossible to actually live that out. That's one reason why I created the Calm Connection Parent Coaching Program to help you not just survive this season, but truly step into the joy and peace that you desire. Together, we'll work on practical ways to parent with purpose, laugh and love others, and live out the kind of legacy your heart longs to leave. If you're ready for that kind of support, I invite you to visit calmconnectionparent.com or join us in the Parenting with Personality Facebook group and take your first step toward living and parenting with more calm connection and confidence. And if something you've heard in this podcast today makes you think, makes you have some questions, feel free to send me an email. I'd love to visit with you. Maybe you have questions about your life, about some of those decisions or changes you want to make. I welcome you to email me, and I would love to visit with you, chat with you, maybe to answer some of those questions, because I want you to have that certainty. I want you to know that the legacy can live on and that you can enjoy an eternity with certainty. Until next time, take a deep breath, laugh a little louder, listen a little more, live a little freer, and keep building that legacy, one loving moment at a time. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Just remember, you've got this. And on the days you don't, well, we're in this together. Take a deep breath and keep building those heart-to-heart connections. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend who might need it too. And don't forget to connect with us at parentingwithpersonality.com or in our Parenting with Personality Facebook support group. We'd love to continue supporting you there. Until next time, keep calm and parent on.